church that gave a wonderful talk today that hit on so many things, um, but it was kind of centered around grace, and he divided he divided it up into kind of something that I was familiar with during my conversion, which there's distinct how can I say resolution with God. There's justice first, and then there's mercy, and then there's the atonement. And those things are not all equal, that they bring us to a different place. And it's because of the atonement that we can, we can basically bypass judgment. I mean, not bypass it, but we can bypass the punishment. We don't have to feel the pains of our own sinfulness. And that's the beauty and the progression. You kind of talked about a progression. That the words that we have bring us to the atonement. The word of God that we have brings us to the atonement. And I don't know, it was just a very beautiful talk. And then grace is kind of, he talked about grace more fully, because that seems to be something that a lot of Christians are confused about, but it, and the Book of Mormon really clarifies that. And he had some wonderful passages that, how we have to do all that we can. And he, and God and Christ fill in the rest, with their grace. And that's what brings us to his glory. That's all.
No, that's great.
That's great.
Thank you.
But before we get going, is anybody going out of town next week?
Nope.
Do you have a conflict with our meeting time at all?
I shouldn't.
Okay. If I was going to say, if you have a contact, we can try to, much as we don't hate it, we could try to move it up or whatever, if possible. But
I should be
when
fine.
are you leaving town?
Saturday.
Oh, you're leaving like this week. Lucky you. Where are you going?
Yeah. Denver.
Denver. How fun. You have family in Denver then?
Yes and no. Oh, okay. Oh, my family's meeting us down there because it's an easy drive from Utah and Idaho down.
Oh, okay. So you will have family there.
I will. I'm gonna hang up and then I'm gonna join you on my computer. My computer has now opened up. It locked me out. It wouldn't accept my password, and then it did, and now it's on. So I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody else is staying in town for the holiday?
Yep.
Oh, that's what you're thinking of. Oh, yeah, it's Thanksgiving next week. Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going up with the family up to my sister. She's hosting up in Napa, California, wine country.
Oh, cool. You just going up for the Thursday then, or are you going up earlier?
No, just for the Thursday.
Cool. So we won't have any conflicts. I just want to plan ahead now because some of my other meetings, 2 of my other meetings have already been moved because of Thanksgiving. So
okay,
might as well discuss that hurdle now. All right, let's get moving. Noodles and Company.
So we have. I'm sorry. So next week there's 2.
Yes, there's 2 gosh dang cases.
Are you guys going to split them up? Michelle and Becky?
So how do we want to work this now that we're splitting the cases? Do we want to just switch back and forth 2 and then 2?
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, being a discussion leader isn't a big deal. You just read the questions and we talk about it. So to me, it doesn't matter to do 2 cases.
Well, who's
but
up
I'll
next?
go with whatever everybody else wants to do.
Technically, I would be up next, but because I'm leading one this week, I'm willing to forgo next week.
Yeah, that's what I thought the plan was, but
Doesn't matter to me. Whatever y'all decide, I'll go with.
But Michelle is officially up next?
My microphone doesn't work on my laptop, so if I can get if I can use my friend's computer that we're staying at and her microphone works, I could be the discussion leader. Otherwise, someone will just have to set up the recording and I can use my iPad.
Okay. Do you want to do both cases or do you want to split that up?
I can do both.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We got 2 before, so.
You're super.
I just don't like doing two.
I did 2 once and it just killed me.
You're still here. You're still alive. You're okay.
You made it.
Okay. Point taken.
We're near the end.
Yeah.
That's all the more reason to only do one.
I should be fine with 2. Like I said, I just might need someone else to start. Because if I use my iPad, I can't do the Google Hangouts. Like, it's hard. I can never figure it out.
Well, I did. I passed my start up to Haley, so I'll start for you.
Okay.
Next week.
Thanks.
Okay.
But like I said, once I get to Denver, if I have a working laptop, my kids might bring their laptop. I can always use theirs because they'll have schoolwork to do too. So I'll keep you posted, Mike.
Okay.
All right, let's go move on to Noodles and Company.
Are you gonna? Oh, we are live. I'm sorry.
We are live. I went live right after the prayer.
All right.
All right. What made Noodles and Company an attractive opportunity for Aaron Kennedy in 1995?
The casual restaurant segment was a rapidly emerging segment of the restaurant industry. It was expected to grow 15 to 20% on its estimated $5 billion client base.
Well, that was scripted.
I thought I'd just read you my answer. That way I can look prepared because I'm going to look horrible on our next case.
Oh.
I put on mine that people liked and ate noodles. It was easy and healthy and quick, and you could add a variety of things to noodles. He saw that people were happy eating noodles.
Something that it was a type of food that could be considered higher quality for those that want to eat maybe higher quality or not just a cheeseburger, more healthy. So it was a segment that a lot of people were interested in, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the fast casual, similar to what Becky said, so I won't repeat that. But he also, I think he found an untapped market in this cross-cultural noodle dishes. Because it wasn't just like he was offering Chinese noodles, but he saw that market, that opening.
There weren't a lot of like fast food noodle, strictly noodle places.
Right.
That's
and
true.
I mean, in the restaurant industry, there's a lot of different cultural takes on the noodles, but in the restaurant, industry, it's considered technically an Italian type restaurant because of the noodle base, and there's not hardly any fast food Italian places. So even though there are, it says in there that it's several different cultural takes on the food and whatever. So
that's true. The Italians own pasta.
Yeah, pretty much. Noodles are so widely used in so many different cultures, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anything else? What caused the company's early struggles?
They had a lot of struggles in the beginning. Having 2 locations and not being able to, that were so far apart, was hard. They had poor food and bad operations in the first few months. They got terrible reviews.
They didn't pay any attention to their revenues over the first 4 months. They
had no idea they were losing money.
Yeah, by month 4, they realized they had lost what was like $42,000 or something like that. Yeah, $42,000.
Yeah,
That's a mistake right there. Is they thought they were making a profit and turn around and look at it in month 4 and holy crap, we've lost this much money.
Yeah, they weren't keeping
That's
track
something
of
like
their
yeah.
finances.
I honestly think that that's their biggest flaw, is not keeping track of their finances.
I
I
don't
think
know.
their biggest flaw is they found real estate before they did a test market to see if it would even be successful where they were planning. He had an idea where it'd be successful, but I think that he was a little backwards in that.
Yeah, I said locating stores and finding. The only thing that wasn't mentioned was finding and keeping employees. But he really struggled with the finding the recipes initially too. Cooking in his mom's kitchen.
Yeah, I have menu problems and recipes written down. Why, we kind of talked a little bit about it. Why do you think those were their problems, his problems?
Well, I think he had a great idea, but he didn't prioritize. It was kind of a haphazard plan.
Mm-hmm.
And even though some things worked, it didn't balance itself out. In the end, it did. But he didn't find that balance at first. He did a few things backwards or haphazardly that, I mean, that's when you have this thought and you go into it without really thinking the whole thing through, all these things are going to happen. And it did.
Yeah.
Like he jumped into that Wisconsin location just because the real estate was there.
Yeah,
like,
somebody called him up and offered it to him.
Right. And then it goes back to what you and Becky said. And then they found out they're losing money, but who cares? We already bought the Wisconsin store. It's like, okay. Like he just didn't think things through.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. He was excited for his idea. He knew it would be successful. He just didn't do it in the right order. Right. I don't know if there was a proper order per se, but in an orderly manner. How about that?
Yeah, it wasn't well thought out. It was just kind of, oh, we're excited, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to add, I thought it was strange how, even though he was into the cross-cultural bit, he didn't investigate much with other cooks and stuff. I mean, he kind of like tried to throw things together and said, how does this taste and how does that taste?
Well, I think that goes back to the test market. He didn't do a test market. He didn't find out the food and what would be appealing to the market around him, or what tasted good, or what would be successful.
Or what would work in a restaurant rather than his mother-in-law's kitchen.
What was that?
What would work in a restaurant setting versus his mother-in-law's kitchen. Right? He figured out, oh, let's make these in your kitchen, but then didn't translate that to, will this actually work in a restaurant where we're serving a lot of people?
Yeah. Yeah, right. He makes one pot, No, that's a good comment.
It's interesting reading about a restaurant and their problems because I manage a restaurant, so it's interesting to see their flaws and see, okay, can we relate these to work at all?
What restaurant
and I wasn't around from day one with the restaurant, but I'm curious to talk to my boss and see what struggles he had with his restaurant.
What restaurant you work at?
It's called Royal India.
Royal India? Oh, really?
It's local.
Ah. Just one of a kind?
There's 2 locations owned by the same person, so.
Oh, maybe he'll be franchising someday.
He won't franchise. I can see his brother franchising. His brother has a couple of stores as well, and I could see his brother franchising before he would.
Oh.
But it's really hard to find people who care enough about the food to actually, put the love into it that he does. So anyway, enough about that. What role should franchising play in the company's growth?
I think if they want to grow as aggressively as they sound like they want to grow, franchising is a really good option because they can expand quicker with less capital.
This probably means that Mike's not for franchising.
Probably.
No, I think franchising is great. I mean, especially, once you iron out all the problems and you have a system, then I think franchising is the best way to go.
Michelle.
I have the same thing what Becky said, that with franchising, they can grow at the pace that they foresee themselves growing.
Yeah.
But if they don't, it's going to be a slower process for him. And he seems to be the type of person that doesn't want it to be a slow process.
Right.
But yet he not really sure about the franchising, but I really think that that's a black and white option for him.
Yeah.
And he just can't see that.
With franchising, the funding and the growth is, coming from other people's capital. So
right.
I think it does allow for them to grow at least faster than they really could otherwise.
Right, but they have their flagship store, we'll call it, that they've got to make sure that they have a store to pattern those franchises after, which is so important.
Yeah, like Mike said, having a really good standardized operations that they can actually implement and expect the franchises to follow.
Right.
We need to develop basically a system, a handbook that but essentially there's this problem. What do I do? Turn to page 12.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what are specific advantages? We've kind of talked about this with the role that franchising should play, but what specific advantages and disadvantages of the franchising model for Noodles, including financial, economic, organizational consequences?
Well, I think financially you're giving up some profits per store, but you're making them up in the number of stores.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a disadvantage, but it evens out as an advantage. If you franchise, you get to grow faster. So
now, what was it talking about? What did it talk about franchising specifically, and what franchising would? There was $35,000 somewhere. Where was that? I don't remember what it was. That number's just sticking in my head.
Let's see.
I don't know. I don't remember that number.
I don't remember that either. But on page 14, it does start talking about the evaluating the options. Oh, it said Panera and Applebee's charge their franchise operators per unit development fees of $35,000 and 5% royalties on revenue.
Oh, there you go. There's that number.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the challenges that I said, if he were to franchise, it becomes you have more operational costs then to your company because you have to hire more people.
Right.
So always, as we've talked about before, when growth comes, more management has to come.
Mm-hmm.
It always seems to be that hand-in-hand thing.
Right, they were talked about having to hire quite a few different people, weren't they?
Yeah, someone to take care of finances, someone to take care of operations, someone to take care of the royalty collection. I mean, and it wasn't like, little jobs. They were pretty big jobs. A VP, I think, was one of them. So.
What was the amount that they earned from each, that they would earn from each franchise? Did it talk about that at all?
No, he looked at what Applebee's and Panera were charging.
So
it says that the profit margin averaged about 75%.
Right.
So Kennedy would earn 75% of what they make?
About.
Or is that the other way around? Does he only?
I think it's the other way around. I think the franchisee gets the larger portion, doesn't he?
What page is that on?
15.
15.
Oh, that's the profit margin on the revenue from the franchise fees. So the profit margin is 75% from the fees from the franchises. So the money they get from the franchises has a profit margin of 75%. So the other 25% has to go to all those costs associated with having franchises.
Yeah, they're only getting 5% of royalties, so that's like
Right, and 75% is the profit margin for them.
Right.
Okay. So we're all in agreement they should franchise.
That never happens.
Yeah, something's
know,
wrong
right?
here, guys. Mike, you got to change your mind or something, because
Seriously, they didn't go that way?
no, they went franchising.
Oh, okay.
We just so rarely all agree that it's weird.
Oh,
This meeting's too short because of the guys
well, I'm just falling in line.
for this one. That's seems like a very, very short discussion.
Well, another
anybody-
disadvantage that we didn't talk about that I in one of my classes last semester, I had to interview somebody who owned a franchise. And he's also the regional manager for the franchises in this area. So another disadvantage to franchises is if you end up with somebody owning a franchise that doesn't do a good job, they can really kill your reputation in that area. So that was something that they had a problem with, the guy that I interviewed, where they had a franchise owner that they granted ownership of a franchise to, and he did some really terrible things, and so it killed the reputation of the company in that geographic area.
Oh,
Well, yeah. Even if you go to, let's say you go to Wendy's, and the Wendy's you're going to is dirty, they're bad service. Actually, let's go to Arby's. I had a bad experience at Arby's, and now I won't eat there. I had a bad experience at one Arby's. You might not eat one in, Detroit because you had a bad experience in Minneapolis.
Right, and it might take a little while before the company figures out that franchise has gone rogue.
Yeah.
And before they can shut them down. So just one other random disadvantage.
Yeah, that I think goes to, I had it on here that Kennedy needed to be more organized. And so I think that means he needed to be so blah. That would be a disadvantage for him, that he would have to have
Paper.
I think that's what my notes meant to say. That sounds about right from what you said. He needs to be more organized. Because he seems like a good guy, but his ideas are just everywhere.
Yeah, he's super excited, but yeah.
Another thing I had written down is I think the more, franchises you have, the harder it will be for them to control, like quality control, and just having everything be to make sure it's staying like what you were saying, make sure someone's not going rogue. The more you get, the harder it is to track that.
well, you stole my disadvantage. Yeah, I said loss of total control of the operations. Not total loss, but just loss of 100% control.
Exactly.
And then I also had, you're basically, I guess there's a risk. You're basically showing how you're teaching the other people, the franchisee, you're teaching them where they could be competitors.
Oh, that's true. They could open up their own place similar to yours.
Yeah, there's probably some non-compete, for a time period anyway, 15 months or who knows what, 2 years, I don't know. But they could practice on you, is what I'm saying.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anybody else have anything else to add? I think that's pretty much. This says no.
Did anybody do that?
Sorry, my husband's
total profit
noise in the background.
I tried really hard.
Yourself.
I tried. This is where I start crying. Like every Monday night, I'm like, I just don't understand what they want from me.
Yep. Like I read the case, I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and I think it over, and then they throw in these numbers, and I'm supposed to forecast things, and I just, yeah.
I know, and I was like, I don't know.
Hey, kitty.
Yeah, that's his walk by.
My cat?
No, mine.
Oh. Becky's.
So Mike or Haley,
If anybody gets that total profit, send it out.
Okay.
I obviously will be working on this tomorrow since it's due tomorrow.
But is the numbers section, that's not doing our report or anything. That's for us to kind of take a look at and see.
Yeah.
Technically, we're supposed to have an exhibit in each of our case studies.
Yeah, I sometimes put one in and sometimes I don't, and I never seem to get done. I should
That's
say
what I've noticed too.
All
I
I do occasionally is I don't necessarily put an exhibit in, but occasionally I will add in figures. He just says, maybe try adding some of the financials when I don't do it. And
I haven't gotten that comment. So I don't know if it just depends on
the week when I was just like, okay, I'm gonna I've still got an A in the class, so can't be doing that bad.
Did we have a summary?
Do we need one?
I don't know. I thought, don't we always have to provide?
Well, the summary is we all agree he should franchise. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Here's our summary. Mike, where's our summary paper?
Oh, here I've got summary.
Yeah, summary. Okay, summary.
So we all agree that we should franchise.
Yep.
It's very rare in our group because we always seem to have a disagreement for one reason or another. So
exactly,
that makes our group meeting a little bit short on this topic. We have nothing to argue.
Well, you only had 4 questions too.
Yeah.
This was one of the times where, I mean, usually they have the prep questions and then they have a whole different set of questions. And this time they just had the same questions for both.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Okay. Are we ready to start the Progreso?
Yeah, here's the orange piece of paper. This is the new one. This is for new, Mike or Haley, who's ever recording.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll split it up.
Right.
All right. So, Progreso, gosh.
I thought it was about the soup company at first.
I think our instructor thinks it's about the soup company. Did you see his comment on the announcement?
I thought it was about the soup company.
On the announcements, he put, "Oh, this week we're studying about Noodles and Company and Progreso, 2 companies you guys should be familiar with."
Right. That's why I thought it was because it was food.
He has no idea.
And if you notice, our case study, Progreso, is spelled with 1 S because it's Spanish. But
yeah.
No.
Half the time it's spelled with 2 S's, which I thought was funny.
Which is
I think Progreso soup is spelled with 2 S's.
Yeah, the soup is 2 S's, but that's not what we're reading about.
Which is why I saw the case study and I go, well, that ain't about soup.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's about micro lending.
And it was an interesting case, but I struggled with, other than the first question, I struggled with the other ones.
Oh,
See,
man,
I think it's pretty good on the other ones, except the numbers.
They were all numbers except the first one.
I'll be honest, I didn't look at the questions.
Oh, actually, you're right. It is
It's all numbers. I mean, the first question is just what are possible causes, but the rest of them are all compute this. What should this be?
Well, then let's just do it real time. We'll do the math real time. I mean, we'll just figure it out as we go.
Okay, let's do it.
We'll just give it our best shot. So what are the possible causes of Progreso's poor sales performance?
Undertrained employees.
Yeah.
Employees, yes.
Undertrained.
Yes, I wrote that down. I actually highlighted that section.
I think also it seemed funny to me, the language barrier, the fact that some of the management people didn't speak Spanish at all, and then some of the AEs didn't speak English at all. And when you're a company that's main customer base are people who speak Spanish, shouldn't most of the people speak Spanish?
Yep. That's what I have.
Like, that just creates a big disconnect to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also put along with that was a lack of understanding due to the language barriers. I don't think you can't communicate what you expect with someone if you don't understand, like they can't understand you because they just can't understand you.
Yeah. And just the whole vision, like I love the vision of this guy's idea. I think it's great, but I'm not sure that the AEs really captured that vision and were excited about it. For them, it was just, oh, just a job. I'm going to earn my $8 an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I put another one too was, did you guys see that there was a lack of uniformity? Like it wasn't, like we talked about in the Noodles and Companies, there wasn't like a mothership that everything was patterned after. It was just these booth setups. Sometimes they had 2 employees, sometimes they had 3 employees. Sometimes they had people walking the floor, sometimes they didn't have people walking the floor.
It almost seemed like they, they got their commissions however the heck they wanted to get their commissions.
Right.
Or they didn't.
Their own strategy.
So they didn't care.
Right.
Like,
so I think that was part of I mean, when everybody's not on one page, they're not gonna be good.
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing, I mean, he seemed like he was scrambling all the time. Talk about organization. He was scrambling all the time, hiring somebody here to take care of some issue and hire somebody else to take care of another issue. And he was always like behind, it was just rolling. Everything was like rolling forward, and he was just behind everything.
Yeah, and if somebody made a mistake, he cut him, moved him somewhere else, and put somebody else in.
I don't think there was any exact. Well, other than it said something about they didn't have any protocol for how to fire somebody. The only time anyone ever got fired is if they stole something.
Yeah, I highlighted that section about all the things that they did, and people didn't know how to fire.
Yeah.
That falls into some of the solutions that we're going to talk improvements, and I think that falls into the professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
But just back on the sales performance, I think he had some real things outside of his power to control. I mean, it was when he first started, everything was great, and then they had the seasonal slump. And then he started kind of ramping up again. I think he was with Sears. I forget. I have to look at the timeline. But then the 2008 crash, happened, and everyone was holding on to their money, and they weren't loaning. So he had some real economical concerns that were outside of his power to control.
Well, going back to Sears too, the Sears employees referred them to their lending booth first, and only if they were rejected by Sears, then they went to then they were referred to the Progreso booth.
Oh yeah, that was kind of a mix-up too, right?
Yeah.
And then they said that those people, the city people or whoever, they would get a commission if they got them to sign up to a credit card, but they wouldn't get a commission if they ended up getting a loan through Progreso.
And I think it was a bad setup at Sears as well because they were clear across the store.
Right.
Right.
I just questioned their decision to stick with trying to partner with stores and not just create their own kind of storefront. I don't know if that was working for them. It seemed like a great idea in the beginning when they were in the grocery stores in Hispanic neighborhoods where they were directly reaching their target market. But I feel like expanding to Sears and Kmart and everything just didn't really work for them. Whereas maybe if they just expanded to have storefronts in Hispanic communities, it might have worked a little better.
I think their cost would go way up if that's the case.
That's probably true.
Yeah, they got
more trouble actually breaking even than just having a little tiny section in a store. I don't know that Sears and Kmart are the right answer.
Right, maybe a different store.
Yeah.
They
did get free
financing option.
Like Walmart.
Yes.
However, I do have to say when I went into Sears out in Salt Lake, I felt like I walked into a foreign country. So I'm not even kidding.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, they got free real estate at a free place for their kiosks. I mean, they weren't charged any fees for using the store space.
Now I just saw your cat.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I already fed him 2 scoops, so that's all.
I think part of another part of their poor sales performance is they could have negotiated better overhead for having that booth in the grocery store. $2,000 seems like a lot. If you're just a booth in the grocery store, you're using electricity that's already on. So I think that the part of that is their sales performance is low because their overhead, I think, was too high for the percentage of sales that they were doing.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. 2,000 is quite a bit.
Maybe
I think that was quite a bit. I read that over and over thinking that just seems like a lot. Like go rent a house.
Yeah.
It was okay. I didn't even catch that was 2,000 either. So you could find some small storefronts for that $2,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if those grocery stores are in a strip mall to begin with, they might have small storefronts attached to that would be less than that.
Right.
I only learned that word strip mall when I went back east.
Really?
We don't call them strip malls here. We just call them. I don't know what we call them.
That's funny.
You're on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I mean, now my wife says she's familiar with the term, but when I went back east, the first time I heard it was, what was that?
Okay, here's a question then. What do you call those traffic circles that are in the middle of the road when you're driving?
Traffic circles.
Roundabouts.
Oh, roundabouts. Yeah, I just call them traffic circles.
That's a back east thing.
We don't have traffic circles on the West Coast.
They're called roundabouts here. I call them traffic circles.
That's funny.
What do you call a U-turn?
We call it a U-turn.
Do you call it flip it, kitty?
Back turn. That's what they're called back east, apparently.
Back turn?
Yep.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry, that was random little trivia.
Okay.
Yeah, but who likes Jimmy's on their ice cream?
What was that?
Who likes Jimmy's on their ice cream?
We would call them sprinkles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sprinkles, not Jimmy's. No.
That threw me when I was back in college. I'm like, you're having who on your ice cream? What are you doing?
All right. Okay. What options are available? I'm sorry, are we done with that first one?
Yeah.
How about fry sauce? You ever had fry sauce?
I hate fry sauce.
Weirdo.
No,
Mike, had fry sauce, and don't say it's ketchup.
It's not. It's gross.
I've never heard of fry sauce.
Oh,
what?
Boy.
There's Worcestershire and A1.
What about ketchup?
Yes, ketchup.
Mix it with
Ketchup,
mayonnaise.
not catsup.
Depends on the brand. Anyway, number 2, moving on.
Okay.
Ketchup and
What options are available to improve performance? I put advertisement.
Do they?
I put on there that they need to have more training, which was an option at one point, where they were going to get training and they were going to become more uniform and everybody was going to know how the business works.
Yeah, except the person didn't speak their language.
It's true. That is true. But, they were going to have them shout. Remember how they were going to do the training but kind of weed out those who didn't think that the job was good for them?
Yeah,
I think that was I'm not really sure if having the call center in Mexico was a good idea.
Why?
I don't know. Like, why wouldn't you just have it with you?
cheaper.
Cheaper, yeah.
Lots
Cheaper real estate.
and they all spoke the language.
Yeah, well,
But how do you check on your employees at the call center?
You'd have to have a manager there that you trusted.
Why are you checking on your
All my
employees?
concerns. I thought, why?
is that how we hold our pens?
Yes.
I thought the call center was for
Surprising.
customers. I thought it was for customers.
Yeah, the call center
Call
was having problems.
It was, but to have a call center so far away to try and get people, you know, to collect on loans and questions answered, I mean, you don't really have control of that then.
Well,
So I thought maybe having a call center, and then if it's something that people in Mexico could answer, then transfer. But I think they should have had a call center where it kind of trafficked calls. You know, like a filter.
okay.
That was just something I thought of. It doesn't mean it's right. Or you have to agree, Mike.
Well, all I'm thinking of, Michelle, is somebody would call and the person in California would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, somebody in Mexico can answer that. Let me check for you."
Well, yes, that's true.
Yeah, I don't like foreign call centers, but this is a Hispanic business, so I figured it's just natural to have it in Mexico.
I know there's a lot of Hispanic people in California.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Thank you,
absolutely.
Haley.
Yeah, but they speak Spanish. They can listen to a call center.
There's my husband. Words from a husband.
Right.
Say hi. He's doing homework next to me.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
So that was one of my ideas, is the call center. I just don't know.
Okay. I put compensation increases.
That's what I put.
Yeah, for sure. But have them attainable. Like those goals that they set were way too high, and so they all gave up on getting commission. And I think they just didn't quite understand the idea of commission because they thought they couldn't work for it.
Hey,
Having
did you
some
guys,
kind of incentive pay that made sense given what they were producing. So it was
Right.
attainable.
But I think that he set it so high because he wanted to get all those loans. He had that goal of loans, but no one seemed to be on the same page with that.
Yeah.
I think those were too high.
Yeah.
did
Goals too high.
anybody do the math on the?
No.
We're not there yet.
I didn't understand the 40 hours per week.
Oh,
Wait, we're not
I
there
did. I
yet.
did that.
I didn't get any of those.
What is
We're not
that?
there yet. You skipped a question.
Is the
I know. I
25?
thought it was until we started.
Time out. Is the 25,000 a yearly thing?
Yes, that's 25,000 a year.
Oh, okay, now it makes sense. But I was doing the math in my head.
Because I didn't think anybody would care about that. But
Okay, you did the math. Thank you.
for change, I actually did some of the math.
Oh, good.
Okay. Anything else? I have some other stuff here.
I think Michelle had other stuff.
You skipped part of the question, Mike.
The question: what options are available to improve performance?
We did that one already.
Do not limit yourself to only 3 or 4 issues. Come up with as many as you find in the case.
No, I'm not at that one. I'm done. I'm over that one.
What are you talking about?
Was there not a question that says which elements of the business model are validated?
No.
Okay, you want to do that one?
Is that all not on there?
No, that one's not. That's your own personal study there. This is the look at the other questions.
Well,
Oh, I did. Oh, I looked at those.
Questions again?
okay. Wait a minute.
I could have sworn that was one of the questions we had to do.
Did
Is that one
anyone think it was strange that they didn't push that 80% Sears card? I mean, they would get 80% credit or bonus or something if they actually sold a Sears card instead of cutting a check.
Was it 80%?
Yeah, it was 80% for the Sears card or something. They got all kinds of. I mean, they didn't take advantage of that, I thought.
Well,
But
that's just,
yeah, they didn't. But they found it restricting to their customers.
Yeah, well, it's restricting to their profits too.
yeah, true. I don't think that the workers really understood the compensation plan.
That's okay. I just thought that was a major oversight. you know, that Sears basically gave them this gift. You know, if you sell a you know, a piece of plastic, you know, for that amount of money that they can spend in the store, you get this huge bonus.
Where did it say 80%?
I forgot I have 80% on my.
80% wasn't that that was something else. That was
Did I read
I
that
just
wrong?
thought it said we'd give you a huge, nice compensation for that. I don't
I
remember.
thought the 80% was the approval rate for renewals.
What did I miss? Okay, what was their bonus for selling Sears cards?
Oh, I see. Sears asked, it was on page 7. Sears asked that Progreso disperse 80% of loans originated at Sears and Kmart stores on a proprietary gift card. So they wanted 80% of their loans. The goal was to get 80% of their loans and put them on the gift card.
Oh, that was just a goal. Okay.
Yeah, it just says they would get a healthy cut of what customers spent, but it doesn't define what a healthy cut is.
Oh, I took the 80% as a healthy cut. That's pretty healthy, huh?
That is healthy.
Okay, I misread that, but yeah, I just thought that I saw that healthy cut, and I just thought, man, why did they just kind of shine that? You know, they didn't pursue that at all. Okay, that's all I had to say. Anyone else? Which elements of the business model are validated?
I just asked that.
I was going to call on you, Michelle, since you were so angry.
Did we not talk about this already?
I don't know.
I totally missed the second set of questions this week, so I didn't see it, Michelle. I just found it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm like, am I crazy? Did I?
Okay, what did you say then?
Well, there's a lot of things if we go to the business model. So I'll go through mine, okay?
Oh, you went to the business model?
I thought I did a pretty good job digging through this business model.
Is this all on paper, Michelle?
Do I have this on paper?
Or is it on the computer?
I'm old. I don't believe in typing everything up all the time. I like to write things down and use my eraser. See, my eraser is it's done.
Oh, you need a big eraser.
I know. I love pencils. Okay, so the business model, the first thing is key partners. And I think that they had key partners. They were in partners with grocery stores and retail outlets.
Right, but their partners didn't like them.
Right. But it was still a valid part of the business model. They still had that. Even though they didn't like them. So part of it was validated, part of it wasn't. But they still they were on the right track.
Yeah, they had a good idea. They just didn't make it work very well.
Right. So that's what I had. Okay. The key activities: lending money, marketing, and signing up people for loans.
Did they do a good job marketing though? Because Mike talked about they needed to do more advertising.
They really did. They just walked around the store, and they just, so that one's not really validated, but it was part of my activities that they had. So,
okay.
So yeah, that's fine. The key resources were the salespeople, which were not very good. So that really doesn't count, but that's part of it. That's what I have.
It's their fault they weren't very good. They had no training.
Exactly. So that really wasn't a validated. They needed to work on that. But one is that they had enough staff. They had the loan officers. They had their booth. They had equipment. So they were on the right track with that. And then I don't know what this means. Value prop something.
Value proposition.
Oh, thank you.
Haley and I are in that.
High five, Becky.
Yeah, this is what happens when I abbreviate. Okay, so their value proposition is they advertise private loans for those who can't get loans due to the FICO score, and they did it to benefit people so they could have FICO scores. So I think that their value there was good. I think they had their plan was good.
I agree. I think their value proposition was right on for, as far as what pains and gains they were,
Like, it was a good, he was really genuinely trying to help people.
Right,
Yeah.
but I don't
Live the American dream.
The value proposition is only as valuable as the customers find it to be, right? It can sound great. It's a wonderful idea. I applaud him. I think it's great. But did his target market understand that that was something that they needed and should work towards? And I wonder if that's why he had a hard time getting people.
I think that could be, people understanding that could be lack of another key element of the business model.
Yeah, that's good. I like the way that you said that. The value is only as good as the customers see it to be. I never thought of it that way. That's a good point.
It's the marketing. They've got to be able to market it so the customers see and understand, hey, that's a cool value. I do want and need that.
Right.
So I think they have
They
all
need
the
to find a better
model, but I don't know.
Their customer needs work, apparently.
Right. And it comes back to all those reasons why they have poor performances. Yeah. Circle.
Yeah,
Okay, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did
Go
you do
ahead, Mike.
9 of them?
Huh?
Did you do all 9 of them?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't mean that, they agree with the validation. I just wrote things down just to bring to class so that we could just discuss them.
Yeah, no, I think you pointed out all the things that they had that were their business model. I just wonder how many of them were actually validated as this is a working, good business model.
Right.
Right? Like they had key partners, but they weren't working out too well. Right? They had a good value prop, but the customers didn't recognize it.
Right. And really their only key resources that worked for them was they had employees in a booth and computers.
I don't think their employees worked very well for them.
No, and they're about to lose.
No, that's true. So they had their booth and equipment.
Until they got kicked out of the stores.
Yep. Because they were stealing their employees.
Yeah, that was funny. What a way to not get along with your partner.
That was actually funny, yeah.
I
All right, so I did
that.
relationships. And I put the relationships they had were very personal relationships. He didn't have a lot of business relationships per se. He started off with personal relationships, with trying to help people live the American dream, calling them to make sure that they needed to make payment on their loans. But it didn't really work for him on that either. So really also not really valid. So this business model kind of going down the hill. Okay. The channels for their business were basically, he only had one, which were booth sales, which were successful in the grocery stores, just not in the retail stores.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe we got one. We got one. In the customer segment were shoppers. Also, that was successful. Like they really didn't target to anyone else except for anyone that came in the stores.
Well, and even then, it was just Hispanic shoppers without FICA credit scores. So they had a really limited market for their customer segment.
Oh, now we got 2 Michelles.
Well, I'm going to be in the other one because my PC ran into a problem and needs to restart. So it shut down. I tell you, this computer is mine. It's my kids' computer, it's old. All right, so then the cost structure was salaries, commissions, equipment, the flyers that they made for marketing, hiring. So, and then I did revenue streams were loans, loan signing, and renewals. Really, that's all the revenue they had, and that really wasn't going well for them.
No.
So I think that's all of them.
So they get like what, like a C minus?
I think they get more like B plus.
Depends on if you're being nice or not.
That's true. Oh, I left the call. Just don't worry about it. The other Michelle has left the building.
I don't think your microphone is very strong on. What, are you on your phone now?
Yeah.
You need to talk louder or something.
I'm a loud person. Let me go see if I can find my iPad that might work.
Okay, so number 6.
6. Wow.
I just didn't want to. I figured Michelle brought us all the way to 6, didn't she?
Where's my iPad?
Okay. You know, I just wanted to. There was a couple times where I was going to segue into Michelle's 9 different
Thank you.
topics, but I'm glad you covered it so thoroughly. But I just thought I just narrowed it down to 3, and I know this isn't really the business model, but I just said retail sales were marginal, low performance. Underwriting I thought was okay. I mean, they were getting loans. When they got the loans, they were underwriting them all right. They had good numbers. What?
Like, I thought their percentages were good of the people who paid back the loans. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, they're low delinquency, so I thought their collections must be good. So I think they validated portions, but still C. Okay, C plus overall.
Oh, we lost her again.
All right. Anyone else? Oh, this is what I asked group members to share alternate points of view. Well, I just shared mine.
Good job.
Okay. Anybody else?
Haley, we can't hear you.
How about now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I have
and
no
we lost
point of view. I
Michelle.
think they stuck.
We lost Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what do you want to do about these numbers?
Ignore them.
Well, we talked
Michelle
about
can go.
Well, it sounds like Haley had the numbers.
Oh, well, let's wait.
No, not those numbers. I don't think. Wait, which numbers are we talking about? I had the numbers Mike was talking about.
Any numbers. I'll take any of them.
I only did the numbers that it talked about the 25,000 in a year because I looked at it and I go, what the crap is it talking about? And so I did the math and I go, oh, how about that? It actually equals like 25,600 and something. But
so what numbers are you talking about? So we have
not the numbers in the questions.
Okay, not the questions. Never mind. I thought you had the questions.
This is talking about commissions or whatever.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, never mind.
It was Mike and I were talking about page 9 where an A worked 40 hours per week making 30 loans per month would earn a total compensation of 25 grand. That's the numbers we were doing. The other numbers, no, I don't have them.
Yeah.
Didn't even look at them until now.
How much profit does Progreso earn on a new loan with the current number of loans per month?
Hey, Michelle wants another invite.
Oh, okay.
Just messaged us.
Are you wanting me to email it?
Oh, I just sent it.
Oh, you just sent it? Okay.
Since I'm the one that had the access to it.
Oh, that kind of invite. I'm not good at those.
Oh my gosh.
There's Michelle.
Okay.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I can.
It sounds like you're yelling though.
I can only see your forehead.
I can only see forehead.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, we were waiting for you to get back because you said you had all the numbers figured out here.
No, that is a lie. Who
What?
said that?
What? Who told me that? Okay, but I just thinking like now profits. Didn't they say it was 36%?
I thought that this is what I thought that it said that they made $180 per loan, or the loan was worth $180.
This says expected value of interest and fees for a loan is $180. I don't know what that means, but that's what it says.
Sorry, what?
Let me do a search.
No, so on
For a loan is $180.
I don't know.
So look on page 5. It just said that giving the declining balance calculation, each account was worth $180 to the company over the life of the loan.
Oh, nice.
That's the only number I got.
More than I got.
So that's as far as I got. Then I'm like, now what? Mike, help us out.
I can't hear you
Hi,
again.
I'm back.
Well, I'm looking at page.
You're the only one that can't hear her.
She's kind of quiet.
I'm looking at page 2 where it's what was APR again? The annual percentage rate.
Yep.
Oh, that's 36%. So that's just what they're charging on their loans.
Okay, rewind. Where are we?
I don't know. We're talking about APR.
Let's divvy up the work. I'm gonna do question 1, and
Question 1 on what?
you guys know the question 2.
I can't. You can't do anything. I have no idea. I hate word problems.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought I was good at math until this class.
Okay. Did we have anything final thing to decide here, or are we gonna?
Are we just gonna skip all the figuring for this case?
I'll ask my husband to help me, and it won't be until probably Thursday night or Thursday morning, but I'll see if he can walk through it with me. He's good at this numbery thingy.
Okay, I had a spreadsheet that talked about break-even point,
Oh, good.
but I don't have all the numbers to fill in.
Oh, we lost Michelle again.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Well, how about going to number 5? As a group, you must change the current compensation plan to improve the number of loans per month. What should we do? You can change the variable amount, the number of loans needed to receive a payout, and or the fixed compensation. So 3 things. What would you do to improve the number of loans made per month? So in other words, increase sales, really.
What number are you on?
I'm on number 5.
Did we skip that far?
Yeah, because it's in the other set of questions. So it's number 5 on the instructions page, not the prepare page.
Okay, I'm following you.
Michelle's not back yet.
Send her a link again.
I don't know. I feel like they need to have training around the compensation plan more than anything. So definitely change it to make it more attainable. So maybe they change the hourly rate, but then for each loan they get something.
I like that. That's what I was thinking too. Instead of having a block where you get a certain amount, like every new sale, you're getting 50 cents more, $1 more, whatever. Yeah. I like that. Then today you're working for, every loan you're working for a known number there.
Yeah.
A better number. Hello, Michelle.
I'm back again because my computer started, but now it doesn't detect a camera or a microphone. So whatever.
We were on number 5.
For this call. The group chat's funny for this call.
We were on number 5. Did you have any answers for number 5?
About the new compensation plan?
Do I expect them to stay with it? Based on my figures, I would have to say no.
No, we were talking about how should they change the compensation plan.
Why don't you repeat what you said, Becky?
Oh, I just said that they should increase the hourly rate a little bit, but then they should get something for every single loan they do, not like make this many loans and then get something.
Yes, that sounds like a great plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe, not making it, I think still maybe, like 1 to 14 loans, you get this much, and actually give something for those first 14.
Like you get 5% of your first 10 loans, 10% of your next.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know.
It just goes up from there, but I think as it goes higher, those numbers increase in smaller increments, but
so long as with each loan you get something, so you feel like you have something to work on.
Yeah, it looks like they have about four. It's every four sales. They have a new number, and then the spread is only $4. So basically, yeah, it would be. In other words, every new sale or every new loan that they make, they get an extra dollar than what they got the time before.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a $4 split.
Well, yeah, there's a $4 split. There's from 18 to 20, 20 to 25. That's $5. Oh, then there's only $2. Then it's $3. Then it's two. Oh boy, yeah. They need to increase. If you get up into the 40s, they need to be well rewarded. I just noticed that.
Percentages, though.
I mean, you get more between 21 and 25. Well,
What
anyway.
page are you looking on, Mike?
What?
What page are you looking at?
I'm looking at page 9. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, that table. Yeah.
So with that strategy that Becky just articulated, once we've made the change to the compensation plan, develop a broader action plan to include specific activities. Will you manage activities or results? Results. I think you want to manage results, don't you?
Well, wouldn't you have to manage activities first? And then once you got results, you'd manage those? Like, it has to start somewhere. You just can't manage results. You've got to start with activities.
You have no results until you have activities.
Well,
okay.
Activities, I think, are a little better than just measuring results. I don't know. It reminds me of missionaries who come out and just want to baptize people. You know what I mean? So, like, look at these great results. Yeah, but what do you do?
Okay, activities then. Manage activities first.
Mike, you're too easy to convince.
Manage results second. Will you keep your current AEs?
It depends. Are they trainable?
Are they?
That's the big question.
How about are they producing?
I think that they could be produced better if they're trained better.
And if they capture the vision of what's going on, right? So it goes back to helping the customers understand the value proposition. Why is this important?
Yeah.
And getting your AEs to recognize that, then they can sell the product better if they're excited about it. It's hard to sell something you don't care about.
Yeah, I think they kind of really lack a culture. You know how some other business plans we've read, they had the culture down. This is how the business, these are the goals of the business, and they don't really have that.
Nope. There's no shape.
Like they are not necessarily looking for any certain type of employee. They just kind of find employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the first plan of hiring employees by poaching the good cashiers was better than second plan. Because they knew they had a good work ethic.
Right, but if they poached good cashiers, it must have been also meant that they were friendly and they could communicate with customers well.
Yeah, but it left a bad taste with the managers of the store they're in.
Yeah, they let the store train them, and then they just hired them.
Right, and they really weren't trained. If they were trained in communication.
Yeah.
Even when they implemented the training program, it was only half a day. And then they would let them walk. I mean, some people didn't even make it through the half day. And then if you made it through the half day, then you're hired.
Yeah,
well, then you made it through the shadowing.
For a day.
For a day.
And when they're not making a lot of loans, you're not shadowing much.
No.
A job that I was hired that before, and it turned out horrible.
Okay. Two more questions. Do you expect them to stay with the new compensation plan? I don't know how to answer that. I mean, we just made up the compensation plan. How do we know that they're going to stick with it?
I think that they would like it better than the old compensation plan.
Oh, is that what it's asking? You mean, are the employees going to stay? Oh, okay. I didn't get that. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the goal, right?
Yep.
Get them to stay. Make it more appealing, more financially rewarding. Where will you find new AEs if the current ones leave?
What about your current customers? Right? So the customers that have profited and gained a FICO score and moved on and become better, right? Are they super excited about the product? Would they want to then be an AE and help others find this as well?
Oh, that's a good idea. Past customers.
That is a great idea.
You certainly got their phone number, right?
You got more than their phone number.
Now that you've made your last payment, can you come work for us?
What's your guys' hypothesis for this one? Have you thought about that?
What's that?
What's your hypothesis on this one for our analysis?
They don't ask a question at the end like they do, Okay, my hypothesis is that they need to get a culture, because I just created that. I just thought that up. That's what I'm going to focus on.
Becky?
I don't know. I think their business model is lacking. I think they've got to reinvent their business model. I don't know.
I agree. That's a great one. Michelle?
I was going to say business model. But
they don't have to be different.
I know, but if a hypothesis is something that you're stating that you're out to prove. So isn't it that Progreso is out to show that they can help the underprivileged not only create, but to improve their credit score? That's the whole purpose.
That's their hypothesis, but Haley's talking about when we do our case analysis, you know how we're supposed to say Noodles and Company should franchise.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah,
right?
they think they need
That's what I'm asking.
Oh, then, yeah, they need to take a look at their business model and kind of redo it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
there are things that are working for them, and there are things that are not, and they need to figure out, is it worth working on or is it worth getting rid of?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a great idea, but it's not being implemented well.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Is that everything?
I think
summary paper.
That's everything.
We have a summary. What are we summarizing?
Summary. Rework the business model.
They need to rework their business model.
All right.
I'll agree with that.
Good.
Well, I also think that part of the summary is are they going to be successful in standalone booths in a grocery store, or like we talked about earlier, or would they have more success in a storefront? I think there's a lot to think about in this case to summarize that. I think it's a great idea, but where are they going to start bringing up their sales, and where are they going to be the most successful?
And that's part of the business model. They got to figure that out. How are they going to get customers to know? And I don't know if I have a great answer for them.
Yeah, because the retail outlet.
Yeah, it's not working, but I don't know how to tell them to make it work.
Right, but the grocery store works for them, but he's not seeing the profits that he wants.
Yeah. Maybe they need to go back and be small for a while and just be small in those grocery stores until the idea catches hold.
Till their customers start understanding their value proposition.
Exactly. And enough of them talk to each other and build more of a customer base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember they went down to LA and they failed. What was the fail point in LA? Because here they were working, and I'm in Northern California, and they were working fine in Northern California, and then somebody required them to prove that they could be successful in outside of Northern California, and then they went to LA and they failed. And I forgot why was their fail point there?
It just didn't work. I wonder if it's because Northern California, so help me out because I'm not great with geography. But Northern California, you probably have a lot more like the migrant workers like we have up here in Eastern Washington. So we have a lot of Hispanic families doing the work on the farms and that sort of thing, right? LA's a big city.
Yeah, that's true. The basin is, yeah.
It's totally different clientele and different culture.
That might have played, yeah.
I mean, when you've got people who are strong, hard workers that are working on the farms and they just don't know how to do the FICO score, they're going to be more likely to back the loans versus I think people who are in the big cities who just maybe don't have as much of a strong work ethic.
That's a good point.
Yeah, San Jose's a big city too, though. I mean, that's where they start.
I don't know geography. I'm making huge assumptions here.
Yeah.
Becky, where do you live in Eastern Washington?
I'm in Western Washington, but my parents were born and raised, and all of my family's in Eastern.
Oh. Because I have a sister that lives in Othello.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, my parents and all my family are from Ellensburg.
Very good.
Haley adjusted my audio level.
Sorry.
Okay,
I was wondering what those did.
Was that too loud, Haley?
No, I turned it all the way up.
Okay.
I was seeing if it made a difference with Michelle's.
Oh,
You were talking at the time I was playing with yours.
When I use Google Hangouts on my phone or my iPad, I do not get very good volume for some reason. And I'm not sure why.
I can also turn off your camera. I cannot
watch out.
I cannot turn off Michelle's though.
Huh.
Mike, are we tired of looking at you two?
So are we good?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Sorry.
We're good? Okay.
I've obviously lost interest. I'm playing around now.
All right. So Michelle, on board for next week, right?
Yes. If I have computer glitches, if someone else can start the Hangout, then I'll still lead the discussion.
Okay.
But I'll let you know. I'll send an email out to say if I'm good or not.
That sounds good.
Okay, then we're done here. I mean, I can go not live?
Yep.
Oh, I don't control that.
Yeah.
Sorry.